Good morning. Today we're talking all things in San Diego District 7, and joining us here is the councilman for that district, Scott Sherman. Thanks for being here.
How are you?
All right, well, let's first talk about Mission Valley, of course, the Chargers Stadium. It's been a little quiet the last couple of weeks. What's been going on with that?
The city made their case to the NFL directly, and I think the NFL is weighing what we put on the table and what we're capable of getting done there at the Mission Valley site. And I think we'll know here by the September 11th deadline that's coming up.
And I know the mayor revealed his financing plan, which calls for 1/3 public money, but people contact us and saying over and over again, Chargers unwilling to play ball. Why are we even bothering?
Well, even before I ran for election, I've always been a proponent of redoing that site there in Mission Valley. It's an old falling down stadium. It's a public asset. We're already losing $10 to $15 million a year on that stadium now. Why not take that money, put it into a new stadium that it can attract, keep the Chargers here, attract a different NFL team, Major League Soccer, put a multi-use facility down there, and keep that kind of, the NFL here, and keep that kind of public identity that brings to the area.
And let's talk about the January ballot, because there's a deadline coming up,
right.
September 11th.
Right.
What will we need to make that happen?
We need to have something on the table, and the two sides having an agreement of what will be brought forth to the voters by September 11th, because after that you have 88 days to get it qualified and on the ballot and do those types of things. From what I hear, it's always a possibility that the NFL could extend the deadline as well. So,
are you optimistic that's going to happen?
You know, a little while ago I was getting kind of pessimistic on the whole situation, but after we were able to get in front of the NFL and talk to them directly, show them our plan without all the filter that has been going on from Mr. Fabiani and others, once we got that out of the way and they actually saw what we were capable of doing and what we want to do, I think they're taking a much harder look at San Diego again.
And let's talk about some of the other things going on in your district. You're in a legislative break. What are you working on right now?
Mostly right now we've been working on policy things, zero-based budgeting, you know, because the city right now, when they do their budget on different departments, a lot of times they look at what they had last year, they add a few percentage points, and that's their new budget for the year. Mm-hmm. We're saying, no, that doesn't make sense. Let's go back to the beginning, start at the beginning every year, justify what we have coming forward. And then it's parks and streets and infrastructure. I mean, it's constantly streets and parks and infrastructure.
What are the biggest challenges when it comes to those areas?
Right now, actually, we've got the money and we have the plan in place. It's actually getting people through the hiring process quick enough till we can actually get them out on the streets and get them to work. That's really been our biggest problem. And we've been working on that for about a year now. Because we did an audit of the hiring process, and it turned out on average it took about 260 days to get somebody through the hiring process at the city. So
that's a long time.
That's a very long time, and people aren't going to wait around that long to get hired into a job. They'll go get to the next job. So we've been working on streamlining that effort so we can get more and more people on the streets and fixing potholes and keeping the parks looking nice, that kind of thing.
What are you hoping to cut that time down to?
I like to see it cut down. You know, there are different regulations, but I'd like to see it get cut down to 3 to 4 months.
3 to 4 months?
If possible. There are some different regulations that you have to follow, and background checks and all those kind of things. Mm-hmm. But, you know, to give you an example, we found that part of the process is on police, they were doing background checks on everybody that applied and then screening them to see if they qualified. Mm-hmm. No, that's backwards. Screen them first, and then once they get through the screening, then do the background check on them. And it saved us a vast amount of time, because it turned out like 93% of the people didn't qualify. So you really didn't need to run background checks on 93%. So that
Mm-hmm.
saved a bunch of time.
Now, since you brought up police here, you know, I know one of the big issues has been retention. Mm-hmm. What are you seeing lately?
It's getting better. We were able to kind of separate police away from the other labor organizations and realize that they're a different animal. We have statistics showing that we're losing people, we're not retaining them. And like in any private business, if you're losing your good people to the competition, then you have to adjust your compensation accordingly. And that's what we were able to finally do. It's kind of stemmed the tide of what was leaving, and it's making it a little bit easier to bring people in. So mm-hmm. we're on the way. My biggest concern, though, is we have a lot of people at the top and a bunch of guys coming in. There's that middle section that's going to be hard to fill up, and that's going to be our next challenge.
Got it. And you are running for re-election.
Yeah.
There are a couple guys who have already put their name in the hat here, both former members of the military. What's your platform coming up?
More of the same. You know, bring my common sense business experience to City Hall and try and give the taxpayers the best bang for their buck that they can get. You know, coming from private sector, I understand that every dollar that comes in my door doesn't have to come in my door. So I appreciate where it comes from. At the city, a lot of times, a lot of the elected officials haven't worked in the private sector. So they don't have that appreciation for the dollar that we take from you every year. So I want to bring that back to the table, keep working on the reforms we're doing, keep working on more parks. You know, we did the River Park Master Plan, those types of things. We've got 4 joint use facility parks going up in Serra Mesa, working on trying to do that. So, you know, community-based efforts that I can take the savings that we can use my business experience towards, take that savings and apply it towards getting more done in the neighborhood.
Okay, well, thank you for joining us. Enjoy
Sure.
your fishing trip.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Got it. Councilman Scott Sherman, District 7. Thanks for being here. I'll be back next week with more on critical issues that matter to you. I'm Melissa Masiha, 10 News.